New York City, 11:57 a.m. The email hit Maya Carter's inbox like a bullet to the chest. Subject: immediate termination notice. Her heart pounded as she clicked it open. The office around her buzzed with the usual corporate hum. Fingers clacking against keyboards, low murmurs of conversation, and the occasional ringing phone. But Maya heard none of it. The words on her screen blurred, but she forced herself to focus. Due to a misalignment in company values and your approach to leadership, we have decided to terminate your employment, effective immediately. Maya's stomach dropped. Misalignment in values? What did that even mean? She had been the hardest worker on the team, leading projects, staying late, and bringing in millions in revenue. This wasn't a misalignment. This was a betrayal. Carter at my office. The voice of Oliver Crane, her boss, her former boss now, cut through the haze of disbelief. He stood by his glass-walled office, his usual smirk firmly in place. With shaking hands, Maya stood, her heels clicking against the cold marble floor as she made her way to him. She passed by the very employees she had mentored, her colleagues, some whispering, some avoiding eye contact altogether. The air felt thick, suffocating. She stepped inside his office, and Oliver shut the door. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed over his expensive suit. "You can't be serious," Maya said, struggling to keep her voice steady. "I've given this company everything." Oliver exhaled as if she was exhausting him. "That's exactly the problem, Carter. You don't know how to stay in your lane." Maya's hands curled into fists at her sides. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly as if speaking to a child, "you push too hard. You're ambitious, but it's the wrong kind of ambition. You act like this company is yours. You make decisions like you own the place. And people, they don't like that." She clenched her jaw. "You mean you don't like that?" He smiled, confirming it. "You should have been smarter about playing the game." Maya felt heat rise to her face. She had sat through countless meetings where Oliver took credit for her ideas, and had spent years climbing the corporate ladder only to have it pulled from under her just as she reached the top. And now, he dared to call her the problem? "This isn't about company values," she said, her voice low with anger. "It's about control. You don't like that I outshine you." Oliver's smirk didn't falter. "I don't like that you forgot your place." She inhaled sharply, her entire body trembling with the weight of injustice. "You know what, Oliver? One day, I'll be so far ahead of you that you won't even be a footnote in my story." He chuckled, doubtful. He reached into his desk drawer and slid a brown envelope across the desk. "Security will escort you out. Leave your badge and laptop. We'll be in touch about severance." Maya's nails dug into her palms. She refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Without another word, she grabbed the envelope, turned on her heel, and walked out. Security didn't even let her pack her things. A guard shadowed her as she walked through the open concept office, past colleagues who pretended not to notice her humiliation. Only one person dared to meet her gaze: Rachel, her former assistant. Rachel's eyes were wide with disbelief. She mouthed, "I'm so sorry." Maya gave a small nod before stepping into the elevator. As the doors closed, she forced herself to take deep breaths to stay composed. But the second she stepped out into the lobby, reality crashed down on her. She had no job, no backup plan, no steady income, and rent for her overpriced Manhattan apartment was due in 2 weeks. The moment she stepped onto the sidewalk, the cold November air hit her like a slap. She blinked up at the skyscraper she had spent years climbing, only to be pushed off the top. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she swallowed them down. No, she wouldn't break. Not yet. Maya didn't go straight home. Instead, she went to the only place that felt like solid ground, her best friend Leah's apartment in Brooklyn. Leah opened the door within seconds, her brows furrowed. "Maya, what's wrong?" Maya held up the envelope. "I just got fired." Leah's eyes widened. "What? But you're their top performer." "I was too ambitious." Leah led her inside, sat her on the couch, and shoved a glass of wine into her hands. "Tell me everything." Maya recounted the meeting, every sharp word, every smug look Oliver had given her. "I knew he didn't like me, but I never thought he'd fire me. Leah pursed her lips. Maya, there's something I need to tell you. A sinking feeling settled in Maya's stomach. What? Leah hesitated. I didn't want to believe it, but I heard Oliver and a few execs talking at a bar last week. They were celebrating something. I overheard your name. Maya stiffened. Celebrating what? Leah exhaled. Oliver's been pushing you out for months. He wanted someone easier to control, someone who wouldn't challenge him. He's already lined up your replacement, a guy named Eric, some rich kid with connections, no actual talent. Maya's grip tightened around her glass. They planned this. Leah nodded. And that's not all. Oliver's been taking credit for your last project, the one that landed the company that big investor. He's been telling the board it was all his idea. Maya's vision blurred with rage. She had been used, played, betrayed. She wasn't just fired, she had been erased. And that was the moment she made a silent vow. She would make Oliver regret every decision he had made. She would come back stronger. And next time, she would be the one sitting in the big chair. But first, she had to figure out how to survive. Maya Carter had never felt this kind of exhaustion before. The kind that sank into her bones. The kind that made every breath feel like a burden. She sat at her tiny kitchen table, staring at the final notice from her landlord. Rent due, $3,500. Final warning before eviction. Her savings were gone. Every rejection email from job applications blurred together in her inbox. Companies that once begged for her expertise now treated her like a liability. Why? Because Oliver Crane had blacklisted her. It had taken weeks for her to piece it together. A recruiter had let it slip. Your previous employer didn't leave a good reference, Maya. Some concerns about your attitude and ability to be a team player. Oliver hadn't just fired her. He had made sure no one else would hire her. Her fridge was nearly empty. A single carton of eggs, half a loaf of stale bread. She had done everything right. Worked late nights, brought in millions for a company that tossed her aside. Now, she had $127 left in her bank account and nowhere to go. A knock at the door made her jump. Her heart pounded as she approached, dread pooling in her stomach. She already knew who it was. Her landlord, Mr. Donnelly, stood on the other side, his expression hard. Maya, I gave you extra time. I can't wait anymore. She swallowed. I just need a little more. You've had a month. I'm sorry, but if you're not out by Friday, I have to take legal action. Legal action. The words hit her like a hammer. She nodded numbly. I understand. He sighed. You're a good tenant, Maya. I wish it didn't have to be this way. She closed the door before he could see the tears in her eyes. 2 days. That's all she had left. That night, Maya went to one person she still trusted. Leah. She needed help. Just enough to get back on her feet. I just need a loan, Maya admitted, staring at her untouched coffee. Not a lot. Just enough to cover the rent until I figure things out. Leah shifted in her seat. Maya's stomach clenched. Please. Leah sighed. Look, I love you, but I can't get involved. You know how hard things are right now. Maya blinked. You just bought a $2,000 handbag. Leah flinched. That's different. Is it? A beat of silence. Leah wouldn't meet her eyes. I'm sorry, she said finally. Maya nodded slowly. I get it. She left without finishing her coffee. Somehow, this hurt worse than losing her job. The next day, Maya found herself at the local employment office, surrounded by people who had lost everything. The woman at the counter barely glanced at her resume. You're overqualified for most jobs. I'll take anything. The woman sighed. There's an opening at a call center. $15 an hour. Maya hesitated. She had managed million-dollar accounts. Now she was begging for minimum wage. But what choice did she have? Fine, I'll take it. The job was worse than she expected. 12-hour shifts. Angry customers screaming in her ear. Managers who treated her like dirt. Every day, Maya reminded herself, this is temporary. Then one night, she got a call that shattered everything. Ms. Carter? This is Charles Watson, an attorney representing Westbridge Investments, her former company. Maya's hands tightened around the phone. What do you want? There's been a legal complaint filed against you. Her breath caught. Excuse me? The company alleges that you violated your non-compete clause by speaking to competitors. They're suing you for damages. Maya's vision blurred. That's ridiculous. We can discuss settlement options, but you may want to hire a lawyer. She let out a bitter laugh. With what money? The call ended. Maya stood frozen, her body shaking. They weren't just trying to ruin her. They wanted to destroy her. Maya met with a lawyer the next day, but his words crushed her last shred of hope. You could fight it, he said, but corporate lawsuits like this, they drag on for years, and they know you don't have the resources to fight back. What happens if I don't fight? He hesitated. You'll owe them money. How much? 6 figures, at least. Maya felt like the air had been sucked from her lungs. She already had nothing. Now they wanted to bury her in debt? Her lawyer sighed. I hate to say it, but you might have to settle. Even if you're innocent, the system isn't on your side. Maya clenched her fists. She had spent her life playing by the rules. And yet, here she was broke, jobless, and facing a lawsuit designed to crush her. The system wasn't broken. It was rigged. That night, Maya sat alone in her empty apartment, staring at eviction papers and legal threats. She had 2 options. Accept defeat, find a way to fight back. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something told her to answer. Maya Carter? A deep voice. Smooth, calculated. Who's asking? I'm someone who knows what Oliver Crane did to you. Maya sat up straighter. And I have information that could destroy him. Her pulse quickened. Why are you telling me this? A pause. Because I hate men like him, and I think you deserve a chance to win. Maya's grip tightened on the phone. She didn't know who this stranger was, but she knew one thing. If there was a way to take Oliver down, she had to find it. Maya gripped the phone tighter. She had nothing left to lose. Who are you? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. A friend. The deep voice responded. Meet me at the Gilded Raven. Midnight. A shiver ran down her spine. The Gilded Raven was no ordinary bar. It was a high-end lounge where New York's wealthiest schemers conducted business. She exhaled. How do I know this isn't a setup? You don't, he said simply. But if you want revenge, you'll show up. Click. The call ended, leaving Maya with nothing but the hum of silence and a racing pulse. That night, Maya stepped into the Gilded Raven, her heart hammering in her chest. The dim lighting, the quiet jazz playing in the background, the scent of aged whiskey. It was the kind of place she used to dream of belonging to. Now, she was here as a desperate woman with nothing left. A man sat at a secluded corner table, dressed in an immaculate charcoal suit. His sharp, blue eyes studied her as she approached. Ms. Carter. He gestured for her to sit. She hesitated. And you are? Call me Vincent. Maya slid into the seat across from him. Why are you helping me? She asked. Vincent took a slow sip of his drink. Let's just say Oliver Crane has made enemies in high places. Maya narrowed her eyes. And what do you want? A ghost of a smirk touched his lips. You, Miss Carter, are going to help me ruin him. Vincent slid a folder across the table. Maya opened it and felt her breath catch. Emails, financial records, documents that should have been confidential. She skimmed through, her fingers trembling. Oliver Crane had been embezzling money. Million. He had siphoned funds from company investments into shell corporations, fake companies that existed only on paper. And worse, he had used Maya's name to sign off on some of the transactions. Her stomach turned. He framed me. Vincent nodded. If the company ever got audited, you would have taken the fall. Maya clenched her fists. The lawsuit against her wasn't just about silencing her. It was a distraction. Oliver needed her to be buried in legal battles, so she couldn't expose the real crime. She swallowed hard. How did you get this? Vincent leaned back. I have my ways. Maya didn't trust him, but she didn't need to. She just needed to play her hand right. Maya spent the next few weeks studying the documents and connecting the dots. She could have gone to the authorities, but she knew better. The legal system protected men like Oliver. She needed leverage. Using an old contact in financial journalism, she anonymously leaked just enough to raise suspicions about Westbridge Investments. Within days, the whisper started. Stockholders grew uneasy. Investors asked questions. And Oliver? He started scrambling. Maya could see it in the way his name flooded business news, the carefully worded PR statements trying to cover up the cracks. She smiled to herself. It was only the beginning. But Maya had another problem. She was still broke. Taking Oliver down required more than just exposing him. She needed power, money, influence, and she needed it fast. That's when she remembered something Vincent had said. He's been stealing from investors for years. What if you took back what was yours? It was risky, dangerous, possibly illegal. But Maya wasn't the same woman who begged for fairness. She was ready to take it. Maya spent nights learning everything she could about offshore accounts, cryptocurrency, and high-frequency trading. She discovered Oliver had used a crypto exchange to launder money. And by sheer luck or fate, one of the wallets was still linked to an old company system she had access to. Maya hesitated. She wasn't a thief, but he had stolen from her first. Hands shaking, she initiated the transfer. The money moved before she could change her mind. The next morning, she checked her account. $1.2 million. Her breath caught. For the first time in months, she breathed. She was no longer a victim. She was back in the game. With money in her pocket, Maya made moves. She hired lawyers, not to defend herself, but to counterattack. She bought a small stake in Westbridge Investments, just enough to attend shareholder meetings and ask questions. And she invested in a startup Oliver had ignored, one now on the verge of revolutionizing fintech. She was no longer begging for opportunities. She was creating them. Weeks passed, and Oliver Crane was unraveling. The leaked financial reports led to government investigations. Investors pulled out, and at the next board meeting, Maya walked in like she owned the place. Oliver's face drained of color when he saw her. "Surprised to see me?" she asked sweetly. He gritted his teeth. "You have no idea what you're doing." Maya slid a folder across the table. Inside, a detailed report outlining his fraud, anonymously delivered to the SEC. "You're finished, Oliver," she whispered. He lunged at her. Security held him back. Maya just smiled. This was only the beginning. Oliver Crane was drowning. Maya could see it in his bloodshot eyes, the way his hands trembled when he reached for his glass of water at the shareholder meeting. He was losing control, and he knew it. Just a few months ago, she had been his victim, blacklisted, broke, facing a lawsuit that could have destroyed her forever. Now, she sat across from him, wearing a custom-tailored navy blue suit that cost more than what she used to make in a month. A Cartier watch gleamed on her wrist, and her newly acquired 12% stake in his company made sure she had a seat at the table. Oliver shot her a glare, his jaw tight. "This is harassment." Maya leaned forward, smiling. "Oh, Oliver, this is just business." The other board members were already whispering. They knew something was coming. She turned to the head of compliance. "Before we begin today's meeting, I'd like to bring a small matter to everyone's attention." She slid a stack of documents across the long, polished table. "These," she continued, "are the official audit reports I delivered to the SEC. They outline years of embezzlement, insider trading, and corporate fraud, perpetrated by none other than our CEO, Oliver Crane." The silence was deafening. Oliver paled. "This is a lie." Maya smirked. "Oh, is it?" She nodded toward the door. "Because I think the gentleman outside might disagree." Right on cue, the heavy oak door swung open, revealing a team of federal agents. The room erupted in gasps as two officers approached Oliver, pulling out a pair of handcuffs. "You're under arrest for securities fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes," the lead agent stated. "Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." Oliver's face turned a sickly shade of gray. He looked at the board, at his once loyal allies, but no one came to his defense. By the next morning, the news had spread like wildfire. CEO Oliver Crane arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scandal. Former employee who was fired for being too ambitious takes down corrupt boss. Maya Carter, the woman who brought down a corporate titan. Maya sat in the back of a black Rolls Royce, scrolling through the headlines with satisfaction. Her phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. She answered. Maya Carter. A deep voice chuckled on the other end. "You did it." "Vincent." Maya smirked. "I told you I would." There was a pause. Then, "I have another proposition for you." Maya arched a brow. "I'm listening." Vincent's tone was amused. "How do you feel about taking down bigger players?" A year later, Maya Carter was no longer just a name in the business world. She was a force. She had parlayed her settlement money and stock earnings into a financial empire, launching a venture capital firm that specialized in funding underrepresented entrepreneurs. She didn't just win against Oliver Crane. She made sure no one else like him could ever bury someone like her again. And the best part? Westbridge Investments, once Oliver's playground, was now under her control. She stood at the top of the company's glass tower, overlooking the city skyline, holding a glass of champagne. The same company that had fired her, the same boardroom where she had been humiliated, and now it belonged to her. There was one last thing to do. Maya picked up the phone and dialed a familiar number. A hesitant voice answered. "Hello." She smiled. "Hello, Patricia." A sharp intake of breath. Patricia Andrews, her former boss, the woman who had fired her for being too ambitious. "W, what do you want?" Patricia stammered. Maya let the silence hang for a moment before answering. "I just wanted to let you know," she said smoothly, "that your severance package should be arriving soon." Patricia went silent. "You're firing me?" she finally choked out. Maya chuckled. "Call it poetic justice." She let the words sink in before hanging up, leaving Patricia to process the ultimate reversal of fate. As Maya leaned back in her leather chair, she reflected on the journey. She had been fired, humiliated, and nearly destroyed, but she had learned 3 key lessons. Money is power. The rich play by different rules. Learning the real game, investments, leverage, influence, was the key to her comeback. Revenge is best served profitable. Instead of just exposing Oliver, she took his company, his investors, and his empire. Never beg for a seat at the table. Build your own. She had spent years trying to fit into a world that never wanted her. Now, she owned the table. She took a sip of champagne, her mind already on her next move, because this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The real question is, are you ready to play the game? Like this story? Drop a comment below. What's your biggest takeaway from Maya's rise to power? Let's talk in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe for more stories of money, power, and revenge.